Do you know how to read an SEO audit? That's what we're going to be talking about today on Traffic Keys. I am your host, Atiba. And if you are a business owner who is looking to drive more traffic, more eyeballs to your website and create more leads in an organic way, you're in the right place because I'm here to teach you the 3 keys to generating traffic. That's what we discuss every single day. And today we're talking about an SEO audit. Now, we started this last week for part 1. This is part 2. We're going to do several parts of this for the next few Tuesdays, and we're breaking down an audit. And the audit I'm going to show you is actually a pretty basic one, okay? And not all audits are created equal. Quite honestly, most of the audits that we do for our clients are way more in depth than this and cover a ton of different stuff. However, that doesn't make them better for you because there is such a thing in this audit world of information overload. Because I can tell you a ton of things that are right and wrong and about your website, but not all of them need to be fixed. At least not all of them need to be fixed right now. And so, having more information isn't always best if you can't figure out how to prioritize the information. So we're starting going through this simple audit because it does provide some good information to you, okay, that you can use for your website to make some major strides, even just starting out. Okay, before we get into some of the really heavy hitting and detailed stuff. But enough of my talking about that and setting it all up. Let's jump right into where we were from last week. Okay, so this is the audit. This is the audit report here, and the client is kind of blacked out. And we went through last week and talked about each of these different components that they're rating on here for the audit. And today we're going to delve into them some more. And so we're going to start off with the on page SEO. All right. So I'm going to scroll down here to that part of the audit and the on page SEO, guys. This is what's actually going on your page and what the user actually sees. Okay. That's what on-page SEO is talking about. And again, this is a very basic on-page SEO of this homepage, very basic on-page SEO audit of this homepage. Whew, got it out. There it is. All right. So first, we're going to start off with talking about your HTML header. And let me also say this too. Some of this stuff I'm saying it's really basic, and you may be looking at this and like, yeah, I don't know what any of this stuff is. What the heck is a meta description tag and that type of thing? And that's kind of my point. My point here isn't so much that you absolutely need to know what this is, but you do need to know that this exists. Because for most of you, you've got a web developer. You're not your own web developer. You've got a web developer, and you need to be able to say to the web developer, hey, is our title tag optimized? Is our meta description optimized? Okay, you don't need to know how to do it, but you do need to know that these things exist and that they are important. Okay, so the first one is the title tag. The title tag is one of the most important things for on-page SEO because that is the title of this page. That's what shows up in search engines when someone bookmarks the page, if people still do that. I'm not even sure. I know I bookmark pages, which I then often wonder why I did because then I can never find the bookmark, but that's a whole nother issue. But if people do bookmark the page, that's what shows up in the bookmark that they bookmarked. That's what Google uses to know, okay, what are you saying this page is all about? And when they display you in the search, that's what they put in the search result is your title tag. Okay, so we see here, this one has a green check mark, so the title tag is good. Meta tag description. This one has a meta tag description, but it's too long. That's what this is saying here. So it's supposed to be between 70 and 320 characters, and this one is 342. Okay, so that's something that the developer ought to fix and change. Shorten this by 22 characters so that it fits within the desired limits. And those desired limits are really set by Google because they only display up to 320 characters in their search. So if your description is 342, then they're going to cut it off. So that's why you do it. Okay. Moving on, looking at some more things here, we've got body content, the header tags. This gets into some of the weed stuff, but in terms of how the page is set up and what's important. So there needs to be a hierarchical structure. So much like when you look at a document and you do an outline for a document, say a Word document, that type of thing, and you pull up the outline menu for that Word document, then it will show you what's the hierarchical structure of, say, what's the title, and then the different bullet points, and it just kind of gives you a nice structure, right? Well, your header tags do the same thing for your website. So things that are in your H1, those are the biggest, most important things. And really, they tell you should have one per page. There are reasons why you can get away with more than one, but you really should have one per page. So this is the one big thing. And then H2s could be your subpoints. And then H3s are subpoints to the H2s. You can start to see the cascading that's happening here all the way down to H6. And the H stands for header again, right? So you have 6 different levels of headers that you can use. So this here is showing what your header frequency is. The most important thing here is every single page must have an H1. You don't have to have a 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. But if you don't have an H1, Google's going to ding you. Period. Dot. You must have an H1. Okay. Next is keyword consistency. And this is really what I wanted to jump into with you guys today, because we've talked about keywords a bit. We do that on Saturdays. We've been doing it the last few Saturdays. If you've missed those videos, go back and see some of those as we're talking about understanding keywords. Okay. And I think it was 2 Saturdays ago, we talked about that when you're looking at keywords, one of the questions that you have to ask is, what does Google believe are keywords that should be associated with my website? Not what do we believe are keywords that should be associated with my website, but what are the keywords that Google believes? And that's based on Google coming to our site, doing what is called crawling or reading the entire site and making determinations based on what they believe we're saying. Because sometimes what we think we're saying is not what we're actually saying to Google and to the search engines. So here, with this particular site, you'll see that the word family shows up 10 times, healthcare 9 times, choice 8, etc., etc. Cookies 5 times. Don't know. Maybe cookies is a word that they care about. Don't know. And that's kind of the point of doing this audit here, because sometimes you see words that show up that you actually don't care about, that you don't want to rank for, that aren't actually relevant to who you are. And then they're not representative of who you are. And in that case, you've got to go back and fix your copy, figure out why that is, and fix your copy. So in this case, let's say cookies is not a term that they wanted to be associated with for whatever reason. Then this audit report tells you that, well, it's not in the title, it's not in the description, but it's in the headings tag. That's why they think it's important. There are headings that have the word cookies in it. Okay, well, let's go look at that. Which headings? Does it make sense? Do we need to change that? Those are the single word keywords. Now, we've talked about phrase keywords and long tail keywords. This report doesn't get into long tail. Like I said, this is a basic report, but it does start to talk about some of your phrase keywords. And so now we start to see, okay, family choice. And so some other keywords, let's get started. So, those are probably together. Let's get started. Maybe that's something that they do want to rank for, but probably not, because no one searches for let's get started. Might be important, but it doesn't mean people are searching for it. Here's the cookies word again. Uses cookies. Okay, uses cookies. So now we get to see, and again, in the heading tag, that it says twice in the heading tags, uses cookies. Do we really want Google thinking that that's important to us? Are there other terms that we may want Google to think are important to us that aren't even on this list? Well, that's the purpose of doing this SEO audit, because it gives us this snapshot and we can start to see, okay, yeah, we're trending correct and we're headed towards the mark, or oh my, we're way off base and we may need to do some more work. Okay. Moving down a little bit, and we're going to stop right here. It talks about the amount of content and image alt attributes. Image alt attributes are really, really crucial, and they're going to become even more crucial. And what this is that when you put an image on your page, there is an option that you can put what's called an alt text, an alternate text. Okay. Now, I'm going to date myself a little bit, but I started building websites. My first website we built was in 1996. Yeah, 95, 96. And back then we were using Notepad to do it. Okay. We were using Notepad to build websites, and a lot of browsers didn't have the capability to actually show images back then. And so there was this option called the alt text or the alt attribute. And that allowed us to say, okay, we put in an image, but if they can't show the image for whatever reason, then put this text instead that described what the image was. Okay. Well, modern browsers got really great at being able to show images, and sometimes people ignore the alt attribute now, but Google has actually been saying for a couple of years that it's super important because they use, so one, they can tell what's in your image, but they also use your alt attribute to verify and validate that what you say this image is about is what they believe the image is about. So that way it will actually show up in Google image search, which is a whole nother animal and a whole nother conversation. Okay. So guys, wanted to take this time today to kind of run through some of this here with you guys. I'm showing you in this audit here some of the things in a basic audit that come out. And it's really important as we look at, are these phrases, are these keywords things that we actually want to be known for? Now, this doesn't even talk about ranking at all. It doesn't tell you where you show up in search for those keywords or phrases. It just shows you that you may show up in search for those keywords and phrases. That's an even bigger discussion of where you actually rank and how you move rankings. But before we even get to that conversation, you've got to know, and that's one of the things that an SEO audit does for you, is it will help you know, it will show you where and what Google thinks of your site and how it looks at your site and different things that you may need to fix and what it believes your site is all about. Okay. So very important. If you've never had an SEO audit done on your website, it's time. That's part of why I'm doing this, is because I want you to know it's time. And so if you don't know how to get one, or if you need one, send me a message. Okay, either in the chat or hit me on DM or what have you. All right, and I may be able to help you get an audit for your website. But it's time. You need to know what you look like. It's kind of like your credit report. You gotta know what's there. You gotta know what's there. Okay, because if you don't know what's there will hurt you. All right, guys. This has been a tip again for Traffic Keys. I hope this was helpful for you. If it was, drop me a comment, drop me some likes, let me know. Would love to hear from you guys. I will see you tomorrow.